Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris with another micro episode on To the Point. And this one, man, this one had me going down memory lane. I'm gonna just share some of the common things that I've learned from the 100+ home service titans, home service business owners, celebrities that we've had on the podcast, like current influencers, overall leaders. Like we've had. This is season 6. We're in nearly 270 episodes, and wow, I cannot believe it's been this many years of doing it. And I mean, since the beginning of 2020, literally the January of 2020. And let me just share real quick, like the whole purpose of this was the whole. Here's how this came about. When in 2019, I was still in our joint venture partnership with Gary Vaynerchuk. So I got to have him as a partner, and this was from a conversation he and I had in his VaynerMedia in New York. And I was asking him, "Hey man, what can I do with we have so many contractors that come to us that are just too small for us to work with, and I hated being able to having to say no to help people because I want to help people. Like that's part of my DNA is." I want to continue to give back and help the contractors. And I've been in the industry a long time, so I knew what to do. It's just I also knew that I could only work with so many people in the same place. And we've kind of built this reputation around helping larger contractors. So I thought I was asking him in one of our meetings, what are ways that I could do something for these people that I'm not able to work with, with digital marketing. And he threw out the idea of podcasting. And obviously I'd listened to his podcast. That's how I was even turned on to him in the first place and kind of following some of his business advice. And he was in a media company. So like I really paid attention to him. He said, launch a podcast. Really the only thing I thought is I'm already super busy and I don't want to do all that extra work now. Like, how am I going to figure out how to make this work? Well, the thought process was, he said, well, you love to give back. Like you want to give back to these guys? If you create a podcast, you can give back to these contractors at scale and you can help them whether they're a customer or not. And you can help them by bringing on some of your big players who people want to be like and learn from and have them share some of their tactics or their troubles that they run into and all these issues. So that's really what set the tone for this. And if you come into the podcast studio or you've been in here, you'll notice real big on the wall, it says the Home Services Podcast that gives back. That's literally where this thing birthed from, was that. So we did. Right out the gate, I brought on Ken Goodrich, and that kind of set the tone for the podcast. And honestly, the timing was perfect because it was right before the pandemic hit and podcasts really started to blow up. So some timing, played in my favor here. But here's what it did: is it gave me access to so many fantastic leaders in this business, and I got to have a weekly session of learning myself. So though I was bringing on people and trying to ask the stories, and I had sat in so many war rooms with big players in this industry for so many years and went through their strategies and listened to things they had to say and the questions that they would ask and their thought processes. And I thought, man, how cool if I could bring you, the listener, into those war rooms with me to be the fly on the wall. Everybody wants to be a fly on the wall. This podcast was able to do that. So this was my way of giving back at scale. I honestly didn't think 5 years later, 270 episodes later, that I would still be doing it this long. But here's the deal. I love it because I get so much fulfillment from those that reach out to us. The listener base continues to grow, which is it's humbling and I'm grateful. But it keeps driving me to do it. And now I'm actually even more inspired to keep doing, more of these things. And these little micro episodes seem to be helping quite a bit because we get a lot of good feedback from it. And we're trying to get better and better at doing them, and making them like meaningful. So, but keeping it short. So let me just throw out a few things to you. When I listen to, if I go back and think about all of our best of episodes that we do every year, where we tally up all the people throughout the year, I always find the same common traits. So the same common things from those that are leaders, whether you're actually in business, they're celebrities or whatever, there's some few common things that all of them do really, really well. So it'd be cool if you have an interest and you go to the podcast and you've not left us a review, hey, that would be super helpful. But as you're going back and leaving a review, go and just do a search for some of these names I'll drop at you and listen to that episode if you haven't, because it might be from 5 years ago, 4 years ago. But let me just throw out a couple names to you. Like, so some of our big players, you guys, some of you know this. I'm connected to a lot of these guys and gals, but Goodrich, Dave Geiger from Horizon, Ken Haynes from Wrench, Leland Smith, Service Champions, Jonathan Bancroft, Morris Jenkins, Kevin Comerford from Service Champions NorCal, Paul Kelly from Parker and Sons, Wyatt Hepworth from Any Hour Group, Alan O'Neill, Abacus down in Texas, Jimmy Hiller. Like, those are some big players we've had on here that, were the OGs in this space, right? Like, kind of guys who did a good job of paving the way. And then, of course, all of our players today, my buddy Chad, our co-host, Tommy, my good friend Tommy Mello, Chris Hoffman, love that dude, man, such a sharp guy. My buddy Aaron Gaynor over in Ohio. We had Ara on from CEO of Service Titan and what he was doing for the industry, from Rhino X in 2024. Some of the ladies we've had on that have kicked ass: Mary Jean Anderson, Claire up in from Standard up in Minnesota, my friend Amanda Zink here in Lake Havasu making some big moves. Dana Hoddle up at CNC up in Detroit, Catherine Donovan, Howard, excuse me, Tom Howard's sister, crushing it for Lee's. My wife Anna Yano was on. Charlene Ierna, one of the OGs from Florida, just had some great talent on from this industry. Then you look at the celebs, like some of the guys that are behind me on this, on the backdrop. We had Gary Vee come on really early in the episodes. That was awesome and helpful. Howard Bihar, who was a former president of Starbucks. That was cool. We had Larry Fitzgerald, first ballot Hall of Famer for my beloved Arizona Cardinals. Receiver Mike Tyson, that was one of my favorites of all time. Coach Saban was on last year from Alabama. See Michael E. Gerber from the E-Myth. I mean, that was one of the books I read early on. Ken Goodrich, brought him in studio with us that we did one. That was in year one. Jens Pulver, my buddy, first UFC lightweight champion. And then we had Walter Bond on, one of the, great speakers. Loved that episode too. Just so much talent, not just in the business world, but in the entertainment world as well. And it was, what is it that all of these guys do that has made them so successful? And as I think through it all, it actually is very simple. It's the real difference is in how they lead, how they build culture, and they relentlessly execute the basics. Just the basics, man, and the discipline that they have to do it over and over and over again. And then surround themselves with great talent and constantly stay students. So many home service business owners are chasing, the complex tools that they kind of half-ass implement, looking for hacks or like secrets, thinking that success comes from like some hidden strategy, when in reality, they're overlooking the fundamentals that actually move the needle, like leadership, culture, and the consistent execution, the daily grind, the no zero days mentality. So if business owners keep chasing the shortcuts, like flashy tactics, without mastering these basic fundamentals, well, that's when they get stuck and they stay stuck, right? Or if you're too proud to ask for the help, you get stuck in these spots. So here's what I've learned from all these episodes: focus on the fundamentals, the boring stuff, right? That's where the real work is done. That's where the real success comes from, is in the boring, basic fundamentals, right? You have to lead a team with clarity. Find good, get these systems and processes dialed in. Goodrich talks about this all the time. Get them dialed in, continue to refine them, and then make sure that you bring in some solid leadership around you, right? And that you pour into these people. But lead with absolute clarity, so there's no question what you want them to do and where you're going and how they fit into that picture. Invest into your team and the culture. I don't care how much you get sick of hearing about culture, man. I'm telling you, and having been through it, culture can change the trajectory of your business. If it's bad, it can change one way. If it's good, it can go the right way. And you can create a lot of happy employees and create a lot of prosperity. And you can do so much good for two sets of people, your own team and your clients. Like, it's the perfect case scenario. And then what brings it all home is Hopefully that fills your cup too. So thinking through like all these episodes we've done all these years and trying to like, man, just really pinpoint like, man, is there something special? No, it's the fundamentals of the business, taking care of the people, executing every single day, not trying to find fucking shortcuts, right? Shortcuts are a short-term gain, long-term loss, right? Just execute on the basics and put your pride aside and ask for help. So much mentorship is available to you right now, so much than ever before. People who've already figured the shit out. So you don't need to like reinvent the wheel here, right? The boring stuff is where you start to see great growth. You got to focus on it and then execute the basics relentlessly with relentless consistency. That is what separates the top performers from the rest. Not some shiny tool or hidden tactics or secrets. Straight up, relentless consistency executing. That's it. So I look at a couple of things as I'm thinking about, some of my guests and like what I think that they're good at, or the things I say about them often that are all major players or major performers or really big movers and shakers. They're all students still. They're great listeners and they continuously listen, right? And they're actually listening to understand, not to speak. Like legit being good students always. They're surrounded with like-minded people, like who you hang out with does matter, both personally and professionally, by the way. Like I want to be around good vibes. I want to be around smart people. I want to make sure because these guys challenge me, right? Like when I get to do this stuff every week, I'm upping my game every single week. But I've got a great friend group, my personal friend group that also supports that, and they're positive. You have to have almost delusional self-belief, right? Like look in the mirror, believe so much in yourself that it almost seems crazy. Like how could someone possibly believe in themselves that much, right? These guys do, or these gals do. Progress over perfection. None of them are trying to get it perfect before they move on, right? They get it. They get a good system and process in place as good as they can. They move fast. They fail faster. Not intending to fail, but they're just finding failure faster, and then they move and fix it again. But they're moving fast, progress over perfection. And again, the biggest thing I can say is one thing I think is just a big win across all these big movers and shakers and all the amazing thing that they're doing is, they just go. Like I said, I talked about progress over perfection. They just go and do. May not have it all figured out. Like sometimes you do jump and build the parachute on the way down. It's just that you guys have heard me say this. It's just that they get better at building the parachute as they keep jumping. Parachute keeps getting better because now they've jumped quite a few times and learned some things. But I'll tell you this much. Some of these people are in the private equity space right now. They weren't. Some are still private. We still have some really great contractors. Chad's privately held still. Aaron Gainer's privately held. We have, Michael Bruner privately held, pushing a monster company down in Florida. We have some great privately held businesses. They weren't any different than you. They just executed the fundamentals faster, were good students, and then applied the things that they learned, messed them up a little bit, and then fixed them and moved on. But the culture in their businesses are second to none. You can't do it without great people, and you genuinely got to care about them. So what's the secret to having a successful company? It's the fundamentals. It's just the fundamentals and executing them every single day. So if you're looking for some hidden tricks or tricks of the trade, there is none. Trick is don't be lazy. Be focused. Believe in yourself. Take care of your people. Move fast and go. Just fucking go. That's how you get it done. Keep listening to podcasts like this. Keep reaching out to people and asking for help when you need it, but just go. You don't got to do everything, but you sure as hell got to do something, just like all these people who've been on this podcast who've had major success. No 0 days.